Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Your Space Needs. Today, we are going to talk about what is an SIOR. So, I have with me today Mark Duclos. Did I say that correctly? Or is it Duclos?
Duclos.
Duclos.
Don't pronounce the S. Yep.
Okay, Duclos.
I'm a
All
Canuck.
right.
I'm like all those people up in northern Vermont.
Yeah. So in today's episode, I'm joined by Mark Duclos. He is an SIOR, CRE, and FRICS. He's co-founder and president of Sentry Commercial. It's a Southern New England real estate services firm. It's based in Hartford, Connecticut. He has more than 35 years of experience as an industrial specialist, and he's had the SIOR designation for more than 17 years and past global president. Who is better to have with me on this topic? I can't think of anybody. Mark and I actually got to know each other because we both went to the CREI summit both this year and last year. And last year we were put on the same scavenger hunt team.
Yes, we were. Thank goodness you were on our team, Amy. You and the other females in that group, because as we said, if it was all guys, we probably would still be in New Orleans on a scavenger hunt right now. So that was a lot of fun. That was a great way to kick off that conference. Ton of fun.
That was so fun. So, and we had to, so at the CREI Summit, and CREI stands for Commercial Real Estate Influencers Summit. We were out there and we were recording content, making sure that we knew that we had performed all of the different tasks. And it was a lot of fun. We were running in and out of gift shops and all those kinds of things. But it's a great way, not only CREI, but then also SIOR they're both great communities and there's some overlap. And so let's get right into it. So,
and just as a side note, just consistent with real estate practitioners, we all followed the directions incorrectly. I think we found out by the end, right?
Or I don't think we made it back in time. I think we
were
actually
close.
followed.
We were
we
running.
were very. We were.
Yeah,
we were
running.
like 37 seconds or something.
Yeah.
It was.
We were there though. We were right there. We were in the hunt.
We were in the hunt, but there were a lot of teams disqualified for not following instructions properly, and I think that's why we all have to have really good admins, because
Absolutely.
we can put together deals, but then the paperwork side of it and the organizational side of it is a whole nother thing.
Absolutely. Doesn't fit our personality, right?
Well, we're like the problem solvers, and we're big picture people generally, and so the detail orientedness sometimes doesn't always come into play.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you have to get the right people on the team, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, real estate organizations.
Yeah. So tell us about what is an SIOR. You've been one much longer than me. I think I'm celebrating. I got mine in 2021, so now I'm 2 years in. But obviously, you've been one a lot longer, and also past president. Can you tell someone who doesn't know what it is, what it's about, and how it might differ from other certifications?
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for having me on. This was fun.
Yeah.
So SIOR is not SIOR, which a lot of people will pronounce it as SIOR. It's actually SIOR, as you said. And it's great to have you in our organization. I've been a member there actually now for just celebrating my 20th year.
Oh,
and
wow.
yes, I was the SIOR global president. I had the honor of doing that for 2 years. Usually that's a 1-year term, but because of COVID, I have the dubious honor of being the COVID president. So so they asked me to stay on for another year, and me and the entire group did, which was great honor, and it actually worked out to be phenomenal. So SIOR stands for the Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. It started back in the 1940s as the Society of Industrial Realtors. So we since added O to the SIR, and now we got SIOR. And simply that is an organization that's made up of about 3,500 members. That are considered to be, number one, very experienced. So they have a minimum of 5 years in the industry. They're high producing, and the high producing depends on what market you're in for what that number is. High ethical standards. And they are people that are formulated chapters throughout the entire country. So it's an organization that's filled with very high producing, highly ethical and long-term brokers. And where it comes into play, it comes into play with a lot. You see the SIOR after our name. And the SIOR, we hope, means something, and it should mean just what we talked about. And it also means additional things, which we can get into. And I think the difference between SIOR and the other organizations, the ones that would jump out. So we are an affiliate of the National Association of Realtors, as is CCIM, which is another industry organization. And I think we all describe ourselves where we are differ in different ways, but I would say CCIM is much more of an investment-driven type of membership. I think they're also very much an educational type of membership. They're highly educated and they really value education. Not that SIOR does not, but SIOR probably is known better for its relationships, right? Yeah. So we are the people that we know. We have really some of my best friends are actually SIORs over the years. So you have that, the CCIM, you have counselors of real estate. You see the CRE after my name. That's a counselor of real estate. Counselor of real estate are people who make a they're also an affiliate of National Association of Realtors. They are professionals that do make a living in consulting or advising, right? So different than a broker who's banging out deals. We at CREs tend to have a lot of assignments where they're being advisory. So it's a lot of different other parts of the commercial real estate food group, right? And so that could be attorneys, environmental companies, it could be lenders, it could be portfolio people, people that handle portfolios and so on and so forth. So it's kind of a more diverse skill set that's actually in CRE. And I would say that the others just jump out. We've got IREM, which is more of a property management arm of National Association of Realtors. You saw the FRICS at the end of my name, which, by the way, is not at the end of my name any longer. I actually no longer am FRICS, but that is a fellow of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, which is a European designation. So RICS, which is the RICS, is a organization that, my words, is kind of a minimum standard to be as a real estate agent in Europe to be taken seriously. The F is a fellow of the Royal Institute of Chartered Surveyors, and that comes along automatically with my CRE designation. I get that little F at the beginning of it. So yeah.
Well, I hadn't heard about that before. So.
Absolutely, you got it. And then I think the other, if I remember correctly, the other affiliate for National Association of Realtors is the Land Institute, which are people that specialize in land.
Yeah, I've already found just in the last couple years, and it was a different process. So even though I had experience, I did go through a boot camp. I think what's interesting is there seems to be a little bit more emphasis on the development side of it. So when I went through SIOR, and it was really helping me to more so understand the development arm of it, because often I think, if you're advising someone on office industrial, perhaps you have to do a build to suit. And so learning more about that, because I am a CCIM as well. But I could definitely see that. And I could definitely start to see my phone, ringing more after getting my SIOR, because it is a smaller group, and even in the Orlando market, I don't think there's as many SIORs in Orlando to choose from. And my last name begins with a C, so that's good.
Well, let's say, yeah, that doesn't hurt.
And you're a D, so that's not bad either.
I'm right there on the totem pole, right? I think that, so there's definitely specialties like that. Built to suit is one of the core courses to become an SIOR, right? I think beyond even that, I think, we will sometimes stretch our skill sets, right? We're going to need more information on certain, as you were saying, maybe beyond the everyday of a real estate agent or broker's day-to-day functions, and now all of a sudden you need to learn more. And we use that SIOR network to actually reach out to all of our brethren and say, hey, listen, does anybody know about this that they can help us with? And these are people that'll get back to us and will let us know, listen, you want to talk to such and such, you want to talk to such and such, or here's how I did things. So definitely not only from the courses that you're talking about at SIOR, but also from the built-in network that we could tap into with people that actually don't have an economic involvement in the question. They just are there because they're an SIOR and they're going to
Yeah.
step out and help you. Yeah,
It's like a phone a friend.
totally. I like that. I'm going to add that to my pitch. We got to phone a friend.
Well, it does. It does feel
Yeah,
like it. It
totally.
does feel like more like a brotherhood or like a fellowship or something like you know what I mean? I definitely can feel that like energy and vibe since being a part of the organization. It's been really valuable. So
That's great.
um
That's great to hear. Yeah.
yeah. So do you think that after becoming a SIOR, do you think it has given you a competitive advantage over your peers?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. So the as we said, the network that's established within SIOR, the people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis and can reach out to on a day-to-day basis, in and of itself is a competitive advantage. So for me
Yeah.
to be able to pick up the phone and be able to ask somebody in a different region, to pick up the phone and ask somebody about a different specialty, and know that I'm going to get quality information back on that is massive. So that's a competitive edge in and of itself. As an independent broker, so
I was going
Sentry
to ask you,
Commercial,
yeah, if you're affiliated with anything. So you're an independent broker, just like me. So
absolutely, absolutely.
yeah.
So as an independent broker, we started in 1991,
Hmm.
and we still remain to be independent. The ability for our clients who would sit there and say, "Hey, listen, Mark, I want to be in. I'm looking at expanding to Denver, Colorado. Can you help me?" And me being able to say, absolutely, I can help you. Let
Yeah.
me call our partner in Denver and let's get you set up. We just did a 40,000 square foot warehouse lease out in Denver. So having the credibility to be able to go into these different markets is huge. So those are big competitive advantages. And one thing that SIOR has worked hard at, and I think is getting better at, is what SIOR means at the end of your name, right? So it's great to have SIOR at the end of your name and you know what it is, and maybe people within SIOR know what it is, but do the people outside of SIOR know what that is? And I think we're building that brand a lot better, especially over the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, one of my favorite it definitely is something that represents like the culmination. It's something I'm really proud of, and I hadn't even really realized I'd reached that point. Like I felt like I was close to it, and then I finally like in 2021 I was like, let me just see like how the last few years like been and like how if I did that. But to me it represents the culmination of really hard work and dedication. You're definitely in the top. Often I would say you have to be like the top 10 or 20% of producers in your area to meet that. I can't remember what it was specifically in my market, but it's not somebody who's just doing a couple deals a year. It shows like they're a commitment, because I think there's a lot that comes with experience from doing deals. And I know I had to get letters and of recommendations from fellow people. It's much more rigorous. I kind of tell people, I don't know if it's the best way of explaining it, but I'm basically like double board certified is what I tell them in commercial real estate.
There you go.
And
It's all right.
and I think I may be the only woman or one of just two or three in Orlando that has both the CCIM and SIOR.
Oh, interesting.
Um,
Interesting.
yeah. And yeah, but I'm an
Yeah.
office specialist. I assume you're an industrial specialist.
I am an industrial specialist, although we do both as a company and as an
Yeah.
individual. Most of my clients are industrial, but a lot of them have office requirements.
Yeah.
So we use the office side. It's a big, valuable part of it. To go back to your point of the who we are. I mean, I've been a big proponent of it's not the what, because I describe the what, which is highly experienced, highly
Hmm.
producing, and ethical. I think I like the who. And I think it's the who in SIOR that keeps me so committed to SIOR and its value, because I know that if I reach out to somebody, not only will they know their stuff, I also know that they're a good person. And that
Hmm.
means a lot to me. When I send a client out to somebody and I connect them to somebody, I know if they've got an SIOR at the end of their name, they're not just good at what they do, they're good people.
Hmm.
And we have certain values here at Sentry Commercial on how we operate.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that the people we're working with have similar values, and they're good people. To your point on being the only woman, double designation maybe in Orlando, we're becoming more diverse, which is
Yeah.
great. We still can't call ourselves a diverse society by any means, but we're working at it, and we are absolutely a lot more diverse than we were just a few years ago. Was
Yeah, I think it's challenging as a woman, especially if you have children and different things to make the balance work and to get it together. I think it's just a challenge. It's like timing and but I think for where we are overall in business and everywise we've come a huge way. I I'll tell you a funny story. So don't knock SIOR. Just like it's this the business world. It's all of it. But I found a set of dictionaries from 1962, and it's illustrated, and it had definite a definition of conference because I was going over different things with my 3-year-old, and the conference was just a bunch of dudes sitting around the table.
Oh
Like
yeah.
every
Oh.
single one, but like it's just so I mean it's just the nature, and I think
Ouch.
it's yeah
Yeah.
it's but I mean
Oh
it's just
my
the
God.
nature of
Yeah.
it. I mean I also just think that being able to like pursue education and all these other things had to kind of come into play for there to be more women. But I think there I like having I feel like it is becoming more diverse though. When I was at boot camp there were a lot of women there, and
Good.
yeah, and I feel
Well,
like
yeah.
and there's a lot of good guys. Like I'm not an anti guy person. I think we're all trying to do the same thing regardless of our sex. So
Yeah. Well, I think like, again, yeah, I know we're not here to talk about diversity necessarily, but I think what
right.
you've learned over the years is number one, you have to be intentional. So if you want to be diverse, you have to be
Yeah.
intentional, right? And so you need to invite the right people to the table. That's people that should be that have every right to be at the table. And I think that's starting to happen more, not just at SIOR, but I think it's happening more in the industry. So you have a
Hmm.
growing population in the industry that has more diverse voices, and it's a huge benefit. It's a massive benefit. If you walk into, we got an organization here at Sentry Commercial that's completely diverse, and I can't tell you. I mean, you have just a lot more vibrant conversations. But again, you've got to be intentional about it, and I think we're being much more intentional. The industry and the organization. We still
I
have a
think
long
that
way. We still have a long way to go.
I think that yeah, that makes a lot of sense because I've had other women who have boutique brokerages or in other brokerages and they see me much more visible in social media and otherwise, being an SIOR, and so many more of them are interested. So I think a lot of the intentionality is like maybe people like me or other people that are the kind of people that you want to attract that are good people that are like producers but maybe bring a diversity element is good because then like I said I get messages on LinkedIn and otherwise and they ask me about it and if it's worthwhile and what's the atmosphere, what's the environment, and I found it to be a positive one and great tool for my clients to be able to, whether I have a client who inherits a warehouse in Oregon and we need to figure out how to dispose of it or lease it or those kinds of things. It gives me much more bandwidth and power as a boutique brokerage owner.
Absolutely. Well
Yeah.
said. Yeah, well said.
Um. Oh, can you think of one of like your most? Do you have a more interesting SIOR story that's something you probably wouldn't have been able to do without maybe someone else involved, or someone was able to give you the resources to get it closed? Do you have one that comes to mind?
Oh boy, I think I would say I'll kind of rephrase that maybe to where I can answer that would be like what has maybe SIORs brought in an opportunity to me that I otherwise wouldn't
Oh,
have if I
yeah.
wasn't an SIOR. I'm going to keep the relationships aside because again, I've already said I can reach out to just about anybody and I can tell you my experience for as SIOR Global has put that like 10, 20 times that I can reach out to anybody anywhere and get help. My first major success story with SIOR was we used to produce this book, and the book was now you just go online and you
Right.
find Amy down in Orlando.
Yeah.
Right? Well, before I used to be published a book, and my partner Sherry Thompson and I were asked, we all were asked to get the front picture on the book as the again as the index for SIORs, call it in Connecticut. So you could get your front page, $2,500. This probably goes back about 25 years ago. Well, it goes back less than that, so it's probably 18, 20 years ago.
Okay.
And we decided we're going to pay the $2,500. And so we paid the $2,500. So Sherry and I had the front picture on that in that book when you went to the Connecticut chapter. About maybe a month or two later, after the book's published, we get a call. Hey, listen, can you handle whatever, Central Connecticut? We said we do. Well, we've got a 40,000 square foot requirement that we'd like you to run for us. No problem. Turns into about a 550,000 square foot requirement. the
Wow.
the individual who referred it wasn't an SIOR, but it was located in New Jersey. And he found us on the front page. He went to the SIR book and found us on the front page. I asked him later, I said, like, where'd you find us? He goes, I hate to tell you, but I just opened up the book. I saw you're in Sherry's name, and so we called you. Well, that requirement has turned into about $1.2 million to $1.4 million in commissions over the last, call it 18 years. So that was
Wow.
our first success. The second big one of notability was, notable was, we represented Amazon. When Amazon came into the state of Connecticut, there was a group out of Seattle that was looking for an SIOR, again, about a 50,000 square foot requirement in southern Connecticut. And they reached out to another SIOR in southern Connecticut and said, can you handle this? They said, well, no, why don't you call Mark Duclos? They didn't know it was Amazon at the time. So anyway, long story short, we ended up doing 10 million square feet with Amazon over the last few years. Now, we
Wow.
don't do their work anymore, but those are two pretty sizable, notable transactions, and would not have happened if it was not an SIOR. What goes beyond that, and I wish I had specific examples, is really just the experiences that we've had because we're SIOR. We just went to the Chicago conference, which was our last world conference a few weeks ago. Phenomenal experience. I've been into the international conferences in Warsaw and Dublin and London, and we're going to Berlin mid next year. So
I saw
a
that.
lot of transactional stuff, a ton of friendships, and just a ton of great experiences.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Like, I mean, yeah, doing deals is great, but then also I find that their relationships are incredible. So, wow.
I mean, right? The relationships is how you do business, right? It's how you do business. I mean, it's always tell people, listen, give somebody a resume. That's great, but guess what? The next person behind you is going to give the same resume, another one, another one, another one, another one. What's the relationship, right? What's the
Right.
relationship you've got? And this really creates relationships.
Wow. Well, I think that's powerful. So, I think we have covered a lot about SAOR. So, just to summarize, I want to do a summary unless you have anything else to share, Mark.
No, take it away.
Okay. So, Uh, again, SIOR stands for Society of Industrial and Office Realtors, and it is elite professional organization representing the top real estate experts in the industry. It signifies a level of expertise, professionalism, and trustworthiness that clients and colleagues seek. And SIOR members have to adhere to a strict code of ethics, ensuring the highest standards of integrity and professionalism. And when you work with someone, you're tapping into a network. It's the relationships that Mark was talking about of the most knowledgeable professionals with unmatched market intelligence. And also, SIRs are continually recognized for their excellence and dedication, often receiving awards for their outstanding performance. And they undergo rigorous education, and they're experts in negotiations. And having an SIOR on your side can open doors to exclusive opportunities and off market deals that you might miss. And they have access to global resources, again, back to global, offering you insights to market worldwide. And in summary, an SIOR certification is an assurance of unparalleled expertise and professionalism in the real estate industry. Whether you're a buyer, seller, investor, having an SIOR by your side is a game changer. So I want to thank you again, Mark, for joining us. I think this was great. And for those of you listening, thanks for joining us on Beyond Your Space Needs. And be sure to stay tuned for more insights and tips to navigate the dynamic world of real estate. And be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. And do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Until next time.
Thank you, Amy.